whether are women cheating as much as men? I know that the rates of women cheating have gone up.
Here's what's interesting. 23% of men cheat. 19% of women. So I guess gender equality has brought a lot of good things, but the fact of the matter is that women are catching up in some not very nice places.
Yep.
And so the fact is that women are working out of the home more, and we've changed sort of the sexual customs of our world. Women are more open and in touch with their sexuality, and sometimes say, "I want something different." And it's not just men who can be narcissistic and toxic; women can too, and the same reasons can motivate them to do some really mean things.
Logan, what is this thing, micro-cheating?
Micro-cheating, yes. It's an umbrella term for basically any moment, connection, experience, behavior where you are sharing some kind of intimate or emotional connection with someone other than your partner. And you're hiding that perhaps from your actual partner.
So what, because we were talking about, could it be the heart emoji that you send to somebody? Like how small could you go?
The truth is it could really be anything, because any sort of infidelity is really in the eye of the person who's experiencing it, right? So for my partner, getting a heart emoji might not be a big deal, but if I was having some kind of ongoing narrative text thread with someone where I was sharing things about my life and feelings that I wasn't sharing with my partner, that could be different. But again, it could be little, it could be big. It's really about your individual relationship.
I feel like it all comes down to, would you be okay if your spouse saw you doing this? You know, whatever you're doing, would you be okay if your spouse knew? And if the answer is no, get out of there. Right?
Yeah. Why are you doing it? If you think your partner wouldn't be okay, that's a real absence of empathy, isn't it? And that's always a question I say to people. Ask yourself that question. Would you be okay if right now your partner was doing what you're doing with someone else?
But why do people cheat? I mean, because, first of all, let's take on the sociopath
How much
issue.
time you got?
But like the sociopaths, is that as rare as we'd like to believe?
I wish it was more rare. It's not as rare as you think. And I think, sadly, we're sort of rewarding people for being mean. You know, they're very successful and they're in the press and they get a lot of attention. Yeah. And that's what our world has become. And so I think, sadly, it's not as rare as you think. And because they're so charming, the first guest talked a lot about how charming someone is. If I had one piece of dating advice to anyone out there, if somebody's really charming when you meet them, don't date them.
Okay? Run!
Run.
Well, they're good at mirroring, right?
They are very good at mirroring.
Sociopaths are very good at mirroring. Could you explain what that is?
So it's that idea of, they're almost like hunters. They figure out exactly what matters to you. They learn you. They study you. And they gather all that information. And it's a manipulation. She used the term love bombing. That's what it is. They find out exactly what works for you, and they get right in there. And you believe that you're in the middle of a fairy tale.
So I like to consider myself an optimist in a lot of ways.
I'm the dark side of the stories.
Yeah, and I think that all of these conversations are amazing jumping off points for us to think about what we feel fulfilled by. You know, do we take advantage of our partners? Do we take certain things for granted? And as things come up, we have a responsibility to talk about, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I need, listening to your partner, where are you? Because oftentimes people cheat because, you know, their needs aren't being met in some way, but they're taking the easy way out because we're afraid to have those really tough conversations.
And you know what? It's hard to start them, but once you get them rolling, it's so rewarding. I have to say, Doug and I will sit down with each other and say, I'm feeling disconnected from you. You know, I just don't feel connected. And I don't know why. And then we'll start talking, and inevitably we feel better when we're done with that conversation. Okay, but here's what people really want to know. How do I know if my spouse is cheating on me? How do I know? What are the signs? That's next.
So I hate to say it, but I mean, really, the best cheaters get away with it, and there are no signs. I mean, that's a very sad and scary thing, but
I'd say the right sign. I mean, you know what I'd say, and what I've seen over many years of clinical practice, it's change. It's changed. So something changes.
They lose a bunch of weight.
Maybe they lose a bunch of weight. And we want to give them a nod on that one. But some of these changes are superficial. Like, they start going to work, like, looking really fine. And you're like, what just happened to you?
It's green juice in the morning.
Exactly. Green juice in the morning, and you look hot. And then, or like, they go to the grocery store in full hair and makeup, and you're like, where are you going? You know? That's the superficial stuff. But I would say, though, a lot of it can be attitudinal. Are they more distant from you?
Yep.
Do they feel cut off, like you were talking about, with your partner, like, we're feeling disconnected? Or are they more warm and affectionate than they've ever been before? Because it can go one way or the other. All of a sudden, you're like, you're very handsy all of a sudden. Like, what happened? So I would say monitor the change. And then finally, it's the electronic world, too. If they won't leave their phone, like they go into the bathroom with the phone, they go into the shower with the phone. That's when you want to pay attention.
Why can't I look at your phone? I should be able to look at your phone whenever I want. And if you trust each other, if you have anything to hide, it's like, go for it.
We have to trust our guts too. We're not really good at that. Our bodies tell us things like something doesn't feel right. We should act on it simply because at worst we have to, mea culpa and say, I'm sorry, I was feeling something and I made a mistake, but I wanted to. I wanted to check in.
But what about that question that we were talking about before? Once a cheater, always a cheater. Is that true? I know people who have cheated who have gone on to be faithful. So is that a true saying?
Ish. Yeah.
How so?
I mean, it's not a bet I'd want to take. And so, listen, in one rule we have in psychology, past behavior predicts future behavior.
Past is prologue.
Okay? So, I mean, listen, if somebody cheated on their 19-year-old boyfriend and you're meeting them when they're 30, I might let that one go. But if their history has been multiple relationships that have ended due to infidelity, or there's been infidelity and they've cheated on you, I would definitely mind the store. But most importantly, there's two kinds of cheaters. There are the toxic, narcissistic cheaters, and then there are the, gosh, I really feel bad about this cheaters. The toxic, narcissistic, unempathic, entitled cheaters, they're not going to change. They're not going to change. They're just going to keep doing this. So if you're signing on to that, you better realize what you're signing on for.
Well,
keep it
said.
real. Keep it real. But if you're with one of the, oh my gosh, this was a workplace thing gone out of control, I'm so sorry, I can't believe it. You go into therapy, there's self-reflection, there's self-awareness, you've got something to work with, and I've seen some couples come back stronger than ever. But if you've got one of those toxic cheaters, this is what you signed up for. And don't act surprised when it happens again.
Put the running sneakers on. Ladies, thank you both
You're
so much.
welcome.
Thank you.